Jonas, how does what you've heard from Ben and Paul differ from your own experiences at Last FM? And the second part of this question is going to be about the revenue model and how people got paid. I'm interested in that.
Okay, maybe I'll answer the second part first,
if you want to, yeah,
because
sure.
it's a bit fresher. So, Last FM has always been like quite smart in what they're doing, but the way they make money, it's kind of very simple and very old school in a way. I mean, many media companies out there make money through one of two ways, or maybe both. This is either some sort of subscription fee and or advertising, right? That's just kind of how it works. In radio, you might have only advertising, no subscription fee. In magazines, you have both, right? You have to pay for the magazine and have ads, you know. It's kind of weird. And in other cases, you might buy, even on Sky, there's even advertising now, right? Okay, anyway, there's some instances where you won't get advertising. Last FM does exactly the same. So a lot of it's advertising driven. And you just see banners on the side, simple as that. It's not in the stream, which has kind of been done by, it's the same thing. The founders also thought, like, ads on the stream, it just doesn't seem right and doesn't feel good. And this is also kind of a weird thing on the internet where it's just not really acceptable. Spotify is maybe changing it right now, but for a long time.
I was about to say that. I was going to ask you specifically about Spotify. I know you've never worked there, but obviously you've observed it over the last couple of years. And a year ago, it was the kind of .com music company that everybody was talking about. And they obviously use both those models of subscription and advertising.
Exactly, yeah. For them, it's the same thing. You know, they really use their free service to drive more people into their paid service. And I think that what they're always trying to do, I don't know how many people in here use Spotify, that what they're always trying to do is like give you more ads, and then they see based on that how many people then start subscribing because you want to get rid of those annoying ads. So they have like a few mechanisms in there what they want to do. Has that worked for them? You might say, based on the recent changes, that maybe not enough. It hasn't worked enough for them. They've just changed it now. You can only listen to, you might know this better, is it 20 hours per month for free you can listen to right now on Spotify, and then otherwise you have to start paying them. But so exactly, well, Spotify did the same thing.
Also, the last time I tried to register for someone else, I couldn't register without a recommendation or being recommended.
That's right.
So again, the only way you could get Spotify was to pay the subscription.
And that's changing now back again. So, okay, maybe the point is that they have to try a lot of things out to see what's working. And it was the same for Last FM. So Last FM was always kind of mainly free, but some people paid for it. And then Last FM had the same problem. The streaming costs, which is kind of the PRS and PPR costs all over the world, we can talk about it in a minute, got too expensive in many territories. So suddenly you couldn't, if you were in Brazil, you couldn't listen to the radio anymore for free because just the costs over there were too high.
Okay, so just specifically on that point, is it basically, is Last FM, Spotify, is it very, very similar in terms of model?
No, very, very different.
Okay.
Spotify is amazing because it's so easy to use, and it kind of has one purpose. You want to listen to something, right? You want to listen to, I don't know, Coldplay, and then you go on Spotify and you find the album and you listen to it. In Last FM, you can't actually do that anymore. You were able to do that kind of, but it was kind of hidden. No one's really been doing it. So Last FM is kind of, it's more about, oh, I like Coldplay. What else do I like? So it's really, that's two different purposes. And I know for a fact that Spotify did it always on purpose. People say like, oh, there's a lack of recommendations in Spotify. But that's by choice because they didn't want to make it too complicated. So I started with saying Spotify is awesome because it's so easy. And Last FM is awesome because it's so complex. You know, it's kind of a really opposite way of discovering and consuming music.
Okay. So in terms of how artists, writers were remunerated by Last FM, I know the last time you were up here 2 or 3 years ago, we started to talk about this, and maybe it's easier for an audience to understand now, but this kind of idea of micropayments, these tiny payments which are made for each stream.
So if we talk about the artists, the performer, let's not talk about the songwriter or the publisher. Maybe we can explain for the people who don't know what it actually is. But if you're an artist and you upload music to Last FM, you can do that yourself. You can upload music. Even if you're unsigned and no one's ever heard of you, you can add it to Last FM. You can just sign up. It's free. We would make payments directly to you as an artist directly. So every time you get streamed, yes, an amount of money being credited to your little Last FM account.
Okay. And what about the writers as well? Were you paying those?
Yes, we were paying those as well, but the way that works always goes through collection societies such as the PRS or the GEMA or
Yeah.
whatever they're called all over the world.
German
Exactly,
one.
that's a German one. I always go through them just because it's a little bit difficult if Last FM has a piece of recorded music, it's very difficult to find out who the writers are.
Yeah.
Because it's normally not, normally we wouldn't even know, right? Because there might be someone might have written the lyrics and someone else is, has been helping with the songwriting. So just because it's too complex,
Yeah.
that always has to be done through collection societies because they are the ones that have the information. They know, hopefully, they don't really, as you probably all know, but they should know for each piece of recorded music which songwriters were involved.
Okay. Now, I think this is an easier question for you to answer now than it was 3 years ago. Just give people an idea of the amount of money they would receive for a stream on Last FM. You don't work there any longer, so you can
It's
say
probably
this.
worse now. I probably really can't talk about it. I can't. So
Just give
no,
them
no,
an
no, no,
idea.
no, no. It
Yeah.
is very important. It is very strange. There's two ways of you listening to music on the internet, and for you as a listener, it doesn't make a difference. But from a rights holder point of view, it's very much different. There's something we still call on the internet radio, and there's something we call on demand.
Yeah.
So the radio pieces where you basically go in and listen to something that you might like, but you don't know what's coming up next. So it's kind of like a radio-like experience. You can still skip maybe, or you listen to a certain genre.
It's pre-programmed.
It's pre-programmed, but you kind of don't have a direct choice of what you're listening to. And it gets very it's a gray area. How direct can it be, how often can you play certain tracks? So that's kind of what we still call radio on the internet, which is a bit strange actually. We should find a new word. And there's also the on-demand service, like Spotify. You go in and listen to a certain track. The licensing costs for each of those services is totally different. The on-demand streaming is at least 20 times more expensive than the radio streaming, which is bizarre. It's an ancient concept. There were basically rates set up by certain collection societies, and they set up certain rates, but they can't license other services. So anyway,
On-demand streaming is 20 times more expensive.
at least. The amount Spotify is paying out is absolutely ridiculous. It is a huge amount. That's why they stopped the free service. They limited down not to 20 hours. This is because it's too expensive, because they don't want people to listen to it for
Doesn't do
free. It's very, very, very expensive. And the figure that this is not a figure that, this is not what Last FM was paying or what Spotify, I don't know what they're paying. But normally, if you were Googling it right now, you would see that normally an on-demand stream costs about 1 cent per stream. That's me streaming one track to you, 1 cent, that's a dollar cent. It's actually a lot of money if you add it up.
Yeah, so that's what you think every time somebody goes to listen to a Coldplay track on.
This is kind of the number you would find if you were going to Google it.
Okay, and yes, so it's not necessarily a true.
It's
figure.
not that good.
Okay, so and specifically with again reference to your previous employer, that would be a fraction of that. Yes, a 20th or less.
So again, you can Google it. You can go to the PPL
Yeah, but
website,
you want
and
your answer.
you would find
Yes.
a number which is.
But they're here for
How
your
much is it
wisdom.
on the PPL. It's maybe about a 20th, of that, which we would then have to pay to the PPL.